DNVR Broncos live, coming to you from the DNVR Bar here on the corner of Colfax and York in beautiful downtown Denver, Colorado. And we have a very special show. James Palmer, also known...
I just applauded myself. Wow. Well, I didn't think you'd do it, so I did it.
Oh, well, yeah. I'm glad you reminded me. I almost forgot.
Appreciate it.
James Palmer, a.k.a. Jimmy Palm Trees, in studio. That's what they call you in the chat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was all started by Kay Adams on Good Morning Football.
Huh.
That's
I thought
where
we
it all
started
that. No, well, I don't know. Maybe everybody thinks they started.
Two separate origin stories.
It was when I was living in Tampa during COVID, when they sent me down there to live in this old lady's house. She wasn't there, but it was an Airbnb, but it was an elderly woman's house during COVID when Brady joined the Bucs. And we're like, well, somebody's got to be there every day. Tom Brady just got just signed as a free agent. And so I lived in Tampa for like 37 days. And so I was on Good Morning Football like every day from Tampa. And Kay started calling me Jimmy Palm Trees every single day forever. Now, it's kind of like half blended into Good Morning Football now that she's gone. Like half the people on there are like, hey, we got Jimmy Palm Trees.
Oh. They're like, should we do that? Are we stealing a bit?
So like, we'll see if it keeps on that show. I don't know, but maybe it'll find new life.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is I think we just said that at the combine, and I mean, maybe it was like implanted into my brain by Kay.
Kay's subliminal into everybody. Yeah, I think so.
Definitely.
Exactly. Well, this is exciting because this might, as you said on Twitter, just become a thing.
This might be a thing, guys.
We might see Jimmy Palm Trees in that chair a lot this season, and we're super excited about it.
I know. Let's just hope my travel is like limited. And you know what would mean for my travel to be limited?
The Broncos to be relevant.
Yes. So I could get a groove in here. You know what I mean? Like a good groove.
I mean, the Broncos are always interesting. I've sent a note into your people at NFL Network just reminding them. It's always interesting.
They were interesting in their own way last year.
Very much so. Yeah, I covered them a ton at the very beginning, and I covered them a ton at the very end. Like that was what we did because we covered the biggest storylines. I will say this: Back Together Saturday is like the start of training camp on NFL Network. Right? We're at. I think we try to find a way to get to every single team on Saturday.
Wow.
And I'm here on the 29th to start. And then I jump out. I think I go to Houston on the 30th the next day. That night I go out, got to see CJ Stroud the next day. But I'm starting here with Sean Payton.
In college football, we call it like a recruiting footprint. So you're a lot in Denver, Houston, KC. What else?
Okay, so last year I spent most of my time. So everybody, it's so funny. When they schedule me, they're like, well, James, you spend most of your time here. And then like the season happens and I'm with like 5 other new teams. I spent a ton of time in Cleveland last year because I was assigned the whole Deshaun return and was there for like the first several weeks of Deshaun Watson's return. I did more Eagles games than any other team last year. Obviously did a lot of Chiefs games. Did a lot of Cincy games. It looks like Eagles and whoever's playing really well in the AFC.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'd say. And I did some Jags games too, and they were getting like hot on the second half of the year. So it's like Eagles, maybe because I'm from Philly.
Yep.
And they're just a super fun team to cover. And the hottest teams in the AFC. That's where we're at.
So yesterday we were talking about the ceiling for the Broncos offensive line. And I said I think the Eagles have the one spot, like they have a good handle on it. What do you think?
Oh, they got a handle on it. Like big time.
Even
like,
with the loss of Sayumalo?
Yeah, I think so because, well, it's funny. A lot of people are just penciling in. The Eagles do something really interesting that teams, when they're playing well, can do. They draft players in positions where they already have Pro Bowl talent. And they have the luxury to do that. And I think when you have that luxury, your organization consistently remains good. Because why? That guy's in a room, that rookie, with those all-pros and Pro Bowlers every day. So they draft Cam Jurgens as a center who was one of the best centers in football. Actually, Jason Kelce played a role in getting him drafted to the Eagles. He was Kelce's pick, saying he watched a ton of film on him, was like, you should draft this guy. We know that Kelce's been like considering retiring multiple years. But anyway, Cam Jurgens has been sitting there with him, and I've talked to Cam, like he's a really, really good center. There's a chance they can just slide him into guard and play the guard spot. It's not like locked in.
Yeah.
But if you have one position where you're kind of like, well, let's see, we got a position battle here, and the other ones are like all Pro Bowlers and all pros, I think you're in a decent spot. That O-line is incredible.
So then where can the Broncos get? Could they get to 2? Could they get to 3 in the best case scenario?
Well, what I love about the Broncos O-line, and the optimism out of the building on that position group is like they're trying to not be overly excited. They're not telling anybody about it, but like the excitement on the O-line is huge in the building. And it's because like I think they want to be a run-first team. I don't know if this is a great pass-blocking offensive line. Philly can do both. Jalen helps you do that because every defense is on their heels in a sense. They gotta, you gotta respect the read option, even when it's not a. It's so funny. I remember talking to Sirianni about this, and he's like, "Dude, even when it's not a read option, they're like respecting Jalen to keep it. If it's just a regular run play, like because you have to.
Right.
So everybody's kind of like not coming down at you. So that helps them in the run game and the pass game. My point is like I think Broncos have a really good run offensive line. They'll look great if they run it a lot. If they're stuck in passing situations consistently, like we'll see. I think there's more of a question mark there than as this offensive line as a run group. The other part is, can they stay healthy? Like, obviously there's some new faces in there, and two really interesting players. I just think Sean's mentality towards the group is different than anywhere else in the league. Like I remember Ben Power saying this, and I asked him about it. Like, it was a big reason why he came here because Sean cares about guards. Nobody cares about guards in this league like Sean Payton. It's really interesting the way he values that position. You saw him the way he did it in New Orleans. But like I remember talking to Baldy about this, and he was like, dude, his love affair with guards is real. That's why Ben Powers came. And I think Quinn Miners is like one of the sleepers on this team to have like a really, really good year. I'm curious.
Quinn Miners on the
do you
show.
love Quinn Miners on the show?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you upset that like he's not embracing like the belly thing anymore?
He turned around a little
He's
bit
back
last year.
again?
Yeah, I talked to him in the middle of the season.
Flip flop.
Yeah,
Snip
but
snap, snip
I asked him
snap.
about it, and he said, well, now everybody, whenever they talk about me, it's just the belly. And I just want, I don't know, the hype kind of like overplayed like what I wanted to be. And then he was like, I kind of like it again. Well, and there was even the run last year. I think Melvin scored a touchdown, and he ran into the end zone, pulled the shirt up, and was like banging on. So I think the belly's
So
back.
great.
The belly. I'd love for the belly to be back. I'd love for him to like, I'm playing great. Now, bam, let's hit the marketing system. Let's go.
Reach out to DNVR, make a t-shirt.
Yeah, let's make t-shirts.
Yeah.
It would be like the T-shirt has the belly.
Or you just like cut out the belly.
What, like a Halloween shirt that has a built-in latex belly?
No, I was thinking like the one
like Superman costume.
I don't know about your cost like situation with that, like how much it costs to produce those and what you could sell them for.
I was thinking, like the bikini bod shirts where like, it's the opposite of that.
Okay.
So it just has like a belly on it.
Yeah. Opposite
Wow.
of that.
I think everyone wants to look like that when they put their clothes on.
Yeah, we need to get Quinn in here so that
Or they want
D-line
the
could like
confidence of that.
draw it in person.
Or like outline
Get
it.
all the details, yeah.
I dig it.
My
arm.
What was I just gonna say? What was
that out.
over is sometimes the move. Under
I'm an
goes
under
up.
guy.
He does go under.
Oh, you go under?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways,
We'll figure it out
Yeah.
over time.
speaking of like the belly, it kind of reminds me of this interesting effect that's going on in the Broncos organization right now, where like everyone's a little afraid of Sean Payton. And like I wonder if he's just like, oh, that's probably not something coach would like. Like, I'll just keep that on the down low, because everyone is just like wanting his approval, not wanting to piss him off. Like, he doesn't want anyone being loud. He doesn't want anyone, doing podcasts and all this media stuff. It's a really interesting dynamic going on.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say this, but I think I will say it. The other day I texted a player that I know, and then my text turned green. And I was like, what happens when your text goes from blue to green? Looked it up. Oh, this person most likely blocked you on iMessage.
Or got a new number.
No. I think it was blue for a while. So, like, if they got a new number, it would have turned green like that. It was blue for like a few minutes, and then it turned green. And I was, in my head, I was like, I think this is Sean Payton. Like, well, it's not Sean Payton's number, but I think this is a Sean Payton effect of like, no. I've been told laser focus in the offseason.
Yes.
Let's keep our eye on one thing. And I'm almost kind of certain that's what it was. And you know what? I wasn't offended.
Yeah.
I wasn't offended at all, because I was like, all right, well, this kind of actually shows me a little bit of a mindset that is within this locker room right now. How boisterous. Was that a word, right?
Boisterous.
Boisterous? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't speak for a living. Was this group last offseason?
Yeah.
I mean, from head coach on down. There's a lot of confidence.
The whole coaching search they filmed and turned into a documentary.
I mean, even
which
us,
was fun.
we were boisterous.
Everybody was.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was. I mean, everybody was, and everybody was excited. And this is just the exact opposite. And Sean is extremely calculated, and this is for a reason. And again, back to that exchange like a few days ago. Well, it wasn't an exchange because there was no response, but it was a really, like, to me, it hit me like, no, this group is like locked in, and Sean has already made that impact.
Mm-hmm.
It's serious. I don't know if I've ever seen NFL players react this way to a coach. Like, legitimately.
Well, you haven't been in New England a whole lot.
Well, no,
because I spent a lot of time there.
But I just mean a new coach comes in and everyone's like sitting up in their chair, making sure their shirt's straight, like getting their hair right, just like wanting to make sure they're on their P's and Q's at all times.
It's like Dion. It's like when Dion got to see you.
I don't know who Dion is.
It's like when Coach Prime.
Thank you.
When Coach Prime got to see you and had like the whole speech, like we don't wear hats in meetings.
Yep.
And Jake Wiley just like pulls off his hat
He was like in the back.
and just sets it down.
Yeah.
Everything's filmed.
But it's not like players don't listen to coaches. Like, they do.
Yes.
But some coaches just have an extra, like, to
Yes.
it. And I think Sean definitely has that. Some coaches do it differently. Like, I remember, and it's interesting how they work. Here's a great, like, story about it. Like, I remember Talib telling me once, like, Bill Belichick is his favorite. He's like, Bill's like my favorite coach. And I was like, well, of course, he's like the greatest coach ever, Lieb. Like, of course. He's like, nah, man, he'll let you wear slippers to meetings. And I was like, what? He's like, his point was, after we talked about it, was like, Bill understands players so well. I'll let you do this, but when I'm talking or I'm doing this, like, there is no debate. Like, you get these little things, he will tear a player down in front of the entire group. He used to rip the shit out of Tom Brady in the front of meetings.
Yep.
And then turn back around, whoever the player is, bring him into his office privately, build him back up, talk to him like a sane human being, and be like, that's why you did this, this, and this, and this is where you should. And then, like, the relationship between the player and coach is a little bit different in every building. That's Bill's kind of relationship. But how he did that and the way he worked with letting guys kind of wear what they want to a meeting, but the minute you slip up, like, certain things are no longer negotiable. Sean has that, in a sense, to where, like, there's just so much respect from the jump that the way he says it and what he wants you to do, you're just like, yeah, because he's one of the best in the world at this. Yeah. I'm going to follow it. And it's the way Sean kind of carries himself.
Well, and especially for this team. I mean,
They
Justin
needed
Simmons, how long has he been in the NFL? He's never played in a playoff game.
Yeah.
And that's true of most of this roster. Like, they're so desperate to win that if Sean Payton can make them win, they'll do whatever he says.
Exactly. There's few guys in this room that have, like, really experienced what a winning culture is. I mean, Mike McGlinchey has. I think the room that Harbaugh has is really, really good. So Ben Powers probably has, and maybe that was part of the reason of bringing him in. Like, these guys know what a good locker room is.
Yeah,
in a sense.
Yeah,
Russ obviously has.
You hear a lot of things about the Broncos constantly, and NFL Network isn't always like, hey, tell us about Damari Mathis or Caden Stearns or whoever. I'm curious, just kind of what's been popping up on your phone this off season that maybe hasn't made the NFL Network airwaves. That's very relevant to our listeners. Maybe we'll call this palm readings.
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh, like Karnak. That's too old of a reference.
Totally missed it.
Yeah, this is Johnny Carson. It's funny because I did a whole thing on Caden Stearns on Good Morning Football because they asked me the same question. They're like, what ends up happening? And
Damn, maybe I'm not giving NFL Net enough credit for
or
the
just enough
diehards.
eyeballs, bro. Apparently, I did a thing on Good Morning Football about a player that Denver has that nobody knows or doesn't talk about, and I talked about Caden Stearns. I think his football IQ compared to his versatility on the backside, he's going to be more important to this defense than probably the casual Broncos fan thinks heading into this year. You're like, well, Kareem's back. He's a big hitter. Justin's great. We got Pat Surtain. Damari Mathis, I think, is actually a pretty decent player. They liked... This is a weird thing to say. This is kind of like a Pat Shurmur, like, practice and completions thing. They liked his mistakes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you can read between the lines in that sense. Like, I get why he did that, and I know he can fix that. Like, they're fixable mistakes in a sense.
Right.
I think Caden's going to be way more important than people think. I think that's actually an aspect of this defense. I'm really, really curious how it ends up playing out on the backside.
Well,
because there's some questions on those. Well, actually, on all three levels of the defense, really.
Yeah. Famously, Zach, who is on his honeymoon right now.
I saw he got married.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
The only guy I know that could get married and then also be
Tweeting what we learned about
no,
the Broncos.
I was going to say the piece on top of the cake as well, but
oh, he's not even here to defend himself.
I know. That's why I did it. That's why he's so happy right now. He'd think it was great.
Yeah, he's probably in like Maldives or something.
Is that where they went?
I don't know.
Israel.
That's.
Yeah.
I saw that they were there. Like, I feel like they're gonna go to a bunch of places.
And it turns out, I think we have one Jewish employee who said, like, Zach, where are you going for your honeymoon? And he was like, Israel. And he's like, oh, no way. Are you Jewish? And he was like, no. We just wanted to go to Israel.
I've been to Israel. It's sick.
Israel is beautiful, but it's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a heavy spot to go for your honeymoon.
I feel like they're probably
Zigzagging?
meandering.
Yeah.
I wonder. We'll have to ask him about it. He won't
Anyways.
tell us.
What was I saying about Zach? Oh, he famously asked Kareem Jackson last year, do you still see yourself as a 3-down safety? And I think Kareem's response was, that's the dumbest question I've ever heard.
Good old Jack.
I wonder if Kareem is going to have to come to terms with that this year, that he may no longer be a 3-down safety.
I'm not saying it means Kareem leaves the field.
Okay.
I'm saying there could be a lot of moving and
safety
shaking
rule.
back there in terms of 3 safety. Like, what's your goal, right? To put your best 11 on the field.
Yep.
What if Caden Stearns is better than your third option at corner and nickel?
Which I would not be surprised about. Because he's just become so versatile. Like, he comes out as a free safety and then plays in that Fangio defense where he's up in the box, then he's out playing free safety and up and back. And then early on, he's playing in the dime for Kareem, so he's playing linebacker. He can definitely do that corner stuff as well.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to remember who's the DC now, right?
Yep.
VJ, like, I don't think people, and it's weird, but I don't think people understand the job he did in Arizona with the defense of personnel that he was given. Like, talk about versatility. There was almost too many positionless players.
Right.
To be like, well, I don't really know where to put this guy. He's been told, like, he's so versatile. Like, I don't even know if he's like a B at any of them. Like, But my point is, he was forced into that in Arizona, into finding ways to move guys around in different positions and cover, your defense in a variety of ways. You can do that now with the way Kareem plays, Caden plays, and Jack can play. And Justin can play. So now you have the ability that, like, all three could have potentially lined up in the box if you wanted one. I mean, on any given down, if you wanted one.
Yeah.
So now you have the ability to kind of mix things up. And it's like, all right, well, then maybe he's on the field more than, say, a third corner.
I like that. I also think he could move Kareem off the field a little bit.
Okay. You didn't like Kareem's performance last year?
No, I thought he was fine. Like, even maybe better than fine. But the clock only keeps ticking.
And there were points where there were mistakes. There's like the post where you can struggle making up ground at the end of the play.
Corners,
yeah.
So we'll see. Okay. All right. Well, who's someone who hasn't gotten a feature on NFL Network yet?
I'm trying to think now. Who else has gotten some? Who else have I heard is? I mean, most of my discussions lately have been about Javonte with people. In the building, just kind of asking about how he's coming along, because I think that's just beyond important. It was funny. I was doing yesterday on NFL Network. We did most important Jets player outside of Aaron Rodgers to the team this year.
Brees Hall.
Okay. Brees Hall was on the show with us, and he picked himself.
Good.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't go with Sauce. I thought of Mekhi Becton just because protecting Aaron is huge. You got a 38-year-old Dwayne Brown playing tackle, who I love Dwayne, but protecting. I went with Garrett Wilson just because I know we think that receiver room's deep. It's just a lot of names we know.
Yeah.
Like McCole Hardman and Randall Cobb.
Right.
And Alan Zay. Nobody can do what Garrett Wilson can do. So my point was, I was texting with a couple of coaches just asking them, like, hey, I want to sound smart on NFL Network today. Who's the most important Jets player outside of Aaron Rodgers? And they're giving them, and they know I live in Denver, and they're like, all right, dude, who's the most important Broncos player outside of Russell Wilson? And I was like, Javonte Williams? Like, I think that's probably the right answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and you were talking about it. They built an offensive line to run the ball.
Yeah.
Yep.
They only have one number one running back on the roster. And he's coming off a nasty knee injury.
Much more than the ACL.
That
Yes.
I don't understand. I don't understand how it's possible that he could be ready for training camp. Like, did a miracle happen somewhere in here?
Yeah. I was told that he has been working his ass off. Like, it's been something that has impressed this new coaching staff beyond belief. Like, they are like, this dude is on a mission now. Like, they are, I've been told that by a couple of people. And so I started believing it, honestly, during the draft. When I'm like, this is a deep running back draft.
Yep.
If you had any questions about Javonte, you could have picked somebody in those middle rounds.
Yep.
They didn't have a ton of picks, yes, but you could have picked a back.
Yep.
And they didn't.
Dalvin Cook situation, same sort of thing.
I think you got to wait on the running back. Now, listen, I think they're going to wait through training camp to see how Javonte moves. My understanding is I don't think the speed's entirely there yet, like back. I think you wait, you see. The running back market is not going to be set. Let's 13th. The 17th, we're going to finally get some idea on some numbers because that's when the franchise tag deadline hits. That's when we'll find out if Saquon Barkley or if Josh Jacobs end up signing a contract, right? Outside of playing on the tag. They sign a deal, then Dalvin knows his number. Then who else is out there? Kareem Hunt knows his number.
Zeke.
Zeke knows his number. I think everybody's just waiting for that 17th to hit, and then you have an idea. I think the Broncos might have an option on a veteran back towards the end of camp. And it's funny because that type of thing is always like, well, you're going to add in camp that's really going to change your roster. Who'd Philly add in camp last year and they went to the Super Bowl? Like, C.J. Gardner-Johnson landed there like
That's right.
a few weeks before the start of the season.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can add a piece that can be really important there. Like, say Kareem Hunt comes here like 2 weeks before the season. Because I'm a little concerned, personally. Like, it's Javonte and Samaje Perine.
And lottery tickets.
Yeah, and a lot of let's see.
Yep.
Is that concern you guys at all?
Concerns
in
me
a
a
team
lot.
that just wants to run the ball?
And that's why I've been so flabbergasted by this whole Javonte Williams situation, because if there was another plan in place, I could understand them overhyping his health. But like you mentioned, the fact they didn't draft anyone, the fact that they just have Samaje
Have they
Perine,
not been optimistic?
they're
They've
clearly
very optimistic.
Yeah, but like this is an injury that took J.K. Dobbins 18 months. He came back and then had to go right back off the field. Like, we're talking about 9 months right now to the start of training camp. I don't understand it, and I'm just crossing my fingers that they're right, because I'm highly concerned about just turning and saying, all right, well, I guess it didn't work out. Samaje Perine, you're our back, and like we're giving you 22 carries a game.
Has he ever had 22 carries in a game?
Probably not.
Maybe a couple times. But
Yeah,
not
but there was a
often.
handful of games last year. I think I did one of them.
I think he had
where
20
Joe
with the
Mixon was
Chiefs.
out.
Yep.
And they really relied on Samaje Perine, and they really liked him in Cincinnati. Like, really liked him in Cincinnati. I just think, like, to me, watching him cut in OTAs and minicamp,
Definitely.
in routes, was the biggest telltale sign to me. I'm like, this dude trusts his knee, not just physically, like mentally enough. In May, trusts cutting on his knee. I don't care if he's the only one out there. He's running a route, cutting off of that knee. To me, was like, all right, he's pretty confident. Like, and I guess the Broncos are pretty confident too. Obviously, they're going to evaluate throughout all of camp, but I wouldn't be surprised if they added somebody towards the end of camp, because the running back market's not even close to being set yet. Once everybody starts knowing their numbers, then GMs start knowing the numbers, and then they know.
So what do the palm readings tell you? Will he be on the field for game one? Look how fast Yaya put that together.
What a tiny head or a huge hand. I don't know which one. Which one?
Should be Zach on there.
Yeah, there's a lot of paleness going on in there. I don't know if I usually look that pale. It's probably the weather here in Denver. I've been outside enough. Week 1.
First carry of the game, Javonte Williams.
I'm gonna say yeah.
Wow.
I'm going to say yeah. And I'm only saying that because that's kind of been the optimism with everybody involved.
Yeah.
This is if there's no setback. There's nothing
Right.
happens in camp.
It's very much a we're going plan A situation.
Yeah, it's like but I do think like there are backs out there, and I think the thing we have to remember is the devaluation of this position actually plays into the Broncos' favor right now in terms of maybe potential veteran options at the end of camp.
One thing that never loses value is a Saturday neon sign.
Wow.
They're the best. They're the best. We have one actually right over there, a Buffs one. We have 2 more in the bar. Best neon signs around, especially because it was started by 2 CU grads. But it's not just CU. I bet you they have a sick Ohio State neon sign for your man cave.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Actually, I guarantee they do. Hank, pull it up.
Yep.
Show it to them. Saturday neon signs are sweet. They come with everything you need to hang them. And they will definitely finish off your man cave, your she shed.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a thing. Did I make a bad guarantee?
I think you might have.
All right,
That's pretty crazy.
Ohio
There's
State's-
a bunch of the other big ones.
Ohio
One of
State's
the
clearly
largest
being
alumni
too.
bases in
They're
the
being
world.
too stingy with their
Rights?
licensing rights. Loosen up. Call your people.
I'll talk to the
anyways,
dean,
Saturday
the
neon.
President.
Tons
Some
of
issues going
awesome
on at Ohio
signs.
State.
Hey, look,
We're on
there's
the.
the DNVR bar sign.
Yeah, they use ours as an ad.
Check them out and use the code DNVR for 10% off your order, which
I know.
is going to
This
be
is a
great.
good one.
Plus free shipping.
That's a good one.
Oh, and also check out Bet365.
Yeah.
If you haven't jumped on that yet, you definitely should because they've got a bunch of awesome promotions. So actually, at Zach's wedding, I was sitting next to a pretty serious bettor. Like, he bets a lot. He uses all the different apps and all that sort of stuff. And he explained what makes Bet365 so great.
Ooh.
And they have a bunch of early wins. So occasionally you see it on other sports books where it's like, if you click this, it'll be you know, your team goes up by 10 points, you automatically win. They don't have to actually hold on and win. It applies to every bet for Bet365. So for example, for baseball bets, if your team goes up by 5 runs, you get the instant payout. There's no opting in. It's just every single time. He brought up I think it was the Phillies and the Reds. Maybe it was the Phillies and the Cubs a couple weeks ago.
I just like the Phillies.
Yeah.
Do you remember them winning 7-5 when they were down 5-0?
No.
Okay, fair enough. But that's one of the awesome perks with Bet365. They live stream 780,000 events a year. They've got 80 million users. They're a proud partner of the Colorado Rockies, whom we love. And definitely go sign up and definitely use the code Denver or DNVR365 when you sign up because you'll get $200 in bonus bets if you deposit $10. All you got to do is just make that first $1 bet and you'll get that $200 in your account. Got to be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. And if you or somebody you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
There you go. All right. So. Oh, there you go.
Oh, there it is.
We sent him to the tanning bed.
Yeah. I like it.
All right. So we talked about this before the show. First of all, we got to get to 100 thumbs up. James actually told me if we don't get 100 thumbs up on this show on YouTube, he's not coming back.
Nope.
So
a one-time thing.
We need your guys' help. We got to get to 100 likes. But we want to set the top 5 reasons to be excited about the Denver Broncos this season. And I figured we can do it as a team here. We'll kind of let James guide us a little bit, and then we can, have some tiebreakers if we need to reset the lineup. Do we want to go? Okay. It's probably going to be hard to go 5-1 just mentally.
Backwards.
Yeah. So should we just start with one?
Let's start with one.
Sean Payton.
Yep, Sean Payton.
Okay. Do we want to get more specific with that?
Sean Payton is the Broncos coach.
That's a dynamite dropping right there, Monty.
This is, by the way, our Bet365 top 5 of the week.
Yes.
So, yeah, we can dive into it deeper because I don't know if people understand. Like, Sean's reputation around the league is he is literally, people misuse that word, but this is true, the best on-the-field teacher of football in the NFL.
I don't think we've ever said that on this show before.
No, we haven't.
His ability to teach the game of football is second to none.
Wow.
Like, it's one of the reasons why, like, if you ask players that have played for him in New Orleans, and it's like, all week in practice, it was like, no, I want it like this, and if you look here, then this will be open, and then if this guy goes here, it's here, and then everything he says happens on Sunday. Like, And players are almost like blown away by it. Like, wow, that everything he told me that would happen and showed me how to do it happened on Sunday.
Yeah.
Like, so his ability to teach on the field is really unmatched. That, to me alone, not the reputation, not that he's a Super Bowl winning head coach. I just think his ability to teach the game after what happened here, and I do think there's talent on this team, is the biggest gain of Sean Payton.
That's huge. It actually reminds me, it's funny because these two guys are nothing alike, but that, knowing what's going to happen type of thing reminds me of a story DJ Williams told me about Josh McDaniels. And he was essentially trying to explain how Josh McDaniels was so smart, but he was just such a dick that it didn't matter. But he was like, dude, this guy was telling me shit on Tuesday. And he would be like, okay, if you see this alignment, I don't even care. Just turn around and run to 20 yards. And he was like, lo and behold, during the game, I see the alignment. The ball snaps. I turn around, I start running 20 yards. Ball hits me in the back of the helmet on my way there. Like, he's like, I couldn't believe it, but he couldn't bring a team together. No one liked him. And so it didn't matter.
Now, Sean, Josh is a football savant. Like, I don't think he has an interest in the world outside of football. Like, it's almost like wild. But the point, I love that point because the difference is Sean is such a great teacher of it. Like the who, what, when, how, why of it is also explained to you outside of, I don't know why I was supposed to go 20 yards. But I went, Sean will give you every angle about why he is teaching it to you. I mean, it's why Justin Simmons, who's an unbelievably smart player, just said on, I think, ESPN Radio yesterday, if he was to describe this offseason in one word, it was educational. Like, that's his difference from any other coach he's ever played for. And that's a direct example of what I'm talking about. So I think that's why it's when you understand, when you're learning anything, the who, what, when, how, why of it, added in to it is such a greater, it just drives the point home. And I think that's what makes Sean so unbelievable at it on the field.
You don't need to be told every time.
No.
Because you can just see it yourself if you
when you
explain
learn something
why.
once, right? You're not repeatedly telling these guys, it is embedded into their brain about why they're doing certain things.
My math teachers used to hate it when I would ask them to be like, when would I ever use this in real life? But it's easier for a football coach to be like, you're going to use this on Sunday.
Or you're not going to make any money for your family.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's just the teaching part. There's so much that goes along with
Yeah,
Sean
and we're not going. He's teaching an unbelievably good scheme and one that he has an identity to this team. And I think that's the second thing after the educational part to me and Sean is now this offense has an identity. It changed every week. Yeah. I mean, it was nauseating to the coaching staff the way it was like, what are we going to change this week? I don't even know what we are as an offense. Where do I go? What do I know? What's my name? I don't know. It was so frustrating for everybody. The identity of the offense has already been given, and that's not going to change throughout the entire year. Yeah. And I think that's important as well.
And then you have the in-game decision making. You're no more of those 64-yard game-winning field goals. Hopefully, you'd prefer at least. But I went back and watched. I think NFL Films did a 10-minute feature on the onside kick in the Super Bowl, and so it goes through the whole thing. He calls the play at halftime. Everybody gets excited about it. Reggie Bush says, "No, it's a terrible idea. Why are we doing that?" But everybody else is really excited about it. But then they get out on the field, and he realizes that they're going to kick the ball toward the Colts sideline. It's like, well, no, we got to do this next to our sideline so that we can campaign with the refs. And so he runs up to the ref and says, actually, we want to go this way, just right before the kickoff. So they flip everything around, goes and kicks it to the sideline. There's a 5-minute scrum for the ball, and Sean's just in there yelling, we got to get this. You saw we got it. We got this. It's just those little details that were not here last year.
That's crazy. Also, Colts should have known something was up when they switched.
Yeah, it's they're going the wrong way.
Yeah,
what's going on
what
here?
is happening here?
Oh, man.
Okay, number one is easy. Number two to me is really interesting, and my personal answer is still related to number one, but I want to hear what you say first. What's the number two reason?
Number two reason to be excited about the Broncos. This is going to be awesome. Russ can't play any worse.
Okay.
That's a good one.
That's
the number one thing that I'm told, I have a discussion with people at barbecues around town.
Oh my God.
Is they come up to me, they're like, well, James, how do they look? I'm like, I don't know. They're in shorts. Sean's a good coach. They'll be fine. And then the response from everyone, from like my mother-in-law to like the most diehard Broncos fan is, well, Russ can't play any worse.
Yep.
So it's got to be better.
Yep. And to me, number 2, and why I asked if we wanted to be more specific about number 1, was number 2 is Sean Payton's influence on Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
You know,
That's fine.
And so
that's the same thing, actually.
But it falls into this category for sure. And it's true. There's no way Russell Wilson would be a worse quarterback with Sean Payton as his coach than he was with Nathaniel Hackett as his coach. So it's funny to put this at number 2 just because it's also the number 1 reason to be concerned about the Broncos is Russell Wilson. But I think it's in the right spot.
Yep.
It is. And also because like look at the guy we have right there, number 2.
Yep. He could
That
have been
defense
number 2.
played really well last year. And I think you look at like the stats and like they're not as awesome as they were a couple of years before or whatever. They were also put in like ridiculous situations repeatedly throughout the season because of the offense.
Yep.
So like even if they play better and the head coach is smarter in sense of position game and all of these different things and the turnovers are cut down, all of that. Because what did they finish in turnovers last year?
They were up there. They had weirdly low fumbles.
26th.
Really?
26th
I know.
in turnovers. Like
I think fumbles, they were like dead last.
Yeah.
They weren't forcing any.
Yeah. No. I'm talking about as an offense.
Oh, it was the offense. Okay.
You're 26th in turnovers. Like,
Yeah.
even if you cut that in half and you jump to like, you say you just jump up to like 14th, this defense is already better. And that's Russ not playing as bad with Sean Payton. That actually makes a very good defense, like, not repeatedly hit the field after 3 and out, and they're exhausted. I don't know, do people understand how like tiresome that is? Like, you're like, man, well, they'll just get another stop. And it's like, dude, they barely caught their breath.
Yep.
And it's not even that. It's like the amount of discussion that goes on during an offensive drive for a defense going, I saw this, or that when you got smart players like Kareem Jackson or Justin Simmons going, they're doing this, let's change it. You don't have time to make your changes.
Right.
So
You've seen, like, you can imagine, like, the highlight right now of them on the sidelines, and they're, like, talking or whatever and having that exact conversation, and they hear the crowd. They look at this, and there's a turnover, and they all go grab their helmets.
Run back, yeah.
You know?
Exactly. And you're like, oh, okay, like, no changes. We got to go out with the same stuff we went out on the previous drive.
Yep.
And so I think that helps the entire team.
Yep.
Sean making Russ better.
It's gonna be crazy if like Russell Wilson starts a game like 3 of 3, just like 3 easy passes.
You're gonna be like standing ovation,
and you're just like, wow, let's go. Like, there were so many games last year where it was like, okay, let's start the game with a big, wide, play action, deep bomb, sack, and you're just like, okay, well, this is what it's gonna be like today. And I feel like Sean Payton is just gonna set Russell Wilson up for success in so many different ways. And he's just going to be like, okay, well, they're going to come out in this. They always do. Let's just hit a quick, easy 5-yard hook to start.
Yep.
Like,
I think a strength of Sean's is recognizing Russ's weaknesses. I don't know if that happened last year, because I think there was almost too much fanfare and excitement to like, I can't believe what we're going to do. Like, this is going to be awesome. We're going to be like, and you didn't really check it and look in the mirror and go like, wait, Russ can't do that.
No.
And it's fine to say a quarterback can't do that, right? Like, it's okay.
one of the things
Like,
he didn't do was make checks at the line. Like,
it's not a Russ strength.
I didn't know. To your point, I was just like 10-year veteran Russell Wilson, one of the winning or the winningest guy through 10 years in NFL history. Of course, he makes checks at the lines.
But you have to remember too, and they're going to go through this again. So this is why we should like temper expectations a little bit too. This is a great moment, and we can correlate this to the Broncos. I don't know if you guys watched The Quarterback at all, like the Netflix series. But in the first episode, there's, and I was at this game actually, between the Vikings and the Eagles, week 2. And Kirk wants to make a check at the line, and he doesn't make the check. They run right into this Eagles 5-man front, punt. He goes to the sideline. He's like, I should have checked out of that. And then it goes to his interview, and he's like, it was just a perfect example of like new system. Even though I've been in the league for 10 years or whatever long Kirk's been in the league, it's like, I'm not comfortable. I wasn't comfortable enough in the knowledge of the system and running the system as I would like to be.
Wow.
I think
you just sold me on watching that show.
It's fantastic. I skipped all the way to the back So because I tweeted something out, it's got like a pretty good response to it. Let's see. I tweeted Mahomes saying that he believes he was asked by his dad after the Jags game, and the ankle happens, and everything like, who do you think's going to win tomorrow between the Bills and the Bengals?
Oh, yep.
And Pat's like, I think Cincinnati's a better team, but with the offensive line issues, the Bills got a chance. I mean, I think we match up better against the Bills, but I want to play Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Because of how much they've been talking. And I was like, that's awesome. I was watching the end just because I want to see if I was lied to by sources about Pat's ankle. And I wanted to see like what was going on behind the scenes to see if it was right. See if I had to send some texts and be like, you were telling me that, but no, but it added up pretty well. But anyway, that point with Kirk is so relatable to Russ. If you think about it, yes, he's had some different OCs in his time in Seattle and whatnot, but when a quarterback's into a new system, you're talking about making checks at the line. Like, Kirk's a really, really smart person and a really, really smart football player. It takes a little while to figure out the system you're running. Now, part of that also is the coach recognizing,
Yes.
we need to change this, this, and this because he's not comfortable yet.
Right.
Yep.
I think a lot of that falls on Nate last year about still trying to run this and this and this, and Russ probably still going, I can still do this. I want to do this. Sean's going to be like, no, we can't do that.
Right.
We're going to do this and this because I can see how you're playing right now. Like that knowledge of that, I think is big. So like the checks at the line, like is a big part if a guy's not comfortable yet. And we don't know if Russ will be comfortable in the system right away. We're all just assuming Sean's a great coach, has a great system. Russ is going to pick, he has to be comfortable in it.
Yeah.
But I think Sean's very good at figuring out what he can't do and what he can do and ease him through it.
We also saw Sean McVay get Jared Goff to a Super Bowl as a young quarterback by just making the checks himself, you know, before the time limit ran out.
Kyle Shanahan's tremendous in the headset.
Yeah.
That's why he talks like right up until when it's like the time limit is up. Like,
I always wonder if there's like that moment where they're trying to say something, but then it gets cut off, you know, like, what was the movie? I feel like we've talked about this before. Someone referenced a movie where they're like, whatever you do, no matter what, don't, and then it cuts off. It's like
you sound like Andy Samberg right now. It sounds like that's like who would be saying it.
But anyways, yeah, I mean, if Sean Payton can just guide things himself, I think it'll help Russell Wilson be comfortable so much more. And I fully believe that he can do that. So that's number 2.
Okay.
All right, should we get let's get number 3.
We get moving.
And then we'll break, and then we'll come back and finish it.
Number 3.
I feel like this is where like Javonte comes to mind, Tim Patrick comes to mind.
You could say like Javonte optimism.
So
because that's all we have to go by right now.
Yeah.
As optimistic as they are about Javonte.
Wait, before you write that, the secondary
could be really, really good.
Yeah, I'm kind of sticking with like a lot of questions. I should look with like more of a certainty. Like secondary's good.
We're excited to see.
I mean, you could even
Jerry
just go as
Jeudy?
simple as Pat Surtain.
Yeah.
Pat Surtain.
Pat
yeah.
Surtain.
The combo, or just Pat Surtain, or the whole secondary.
What would you guys rather do?
What are you most excited about?
Honestly, I think the answer is Pat Surtain.
Yeah.
We are watching a first ballot Hall of Fame career unfold right before our eyes. I think we need to appreciate it more.
Yeah. There is not a lot of like boatloads of praise in this league from opposing players or coaches on guys in their first like 2-3 years. What I hear in opposing locker rooms about Pat Surtain is like, it's unbelievable.
Yep.
Like, it's really unbelievable. You're like, this guy's like, how many years into the league? What? He's already like, guys think he's like, his other DBs have told me like his mentality and football IQ is like a 12-year veteran, which is like
Yes.
Yep.
you know, the jokes are out there, you know, about his dad where they're like, you know, in 8th grade he had perfect technique. Like, you know, they're joking. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're working with his dad every day, if he's working with his dad every day, his technique was probably flawless by 8th grade. Like, he has everything. And if you really, I don't want to give away any of his tricks, but if you ever sit and talk to him for like a while and he tells you what he does during the week, you're like, and this was going into his 2nd season. And he was like, telling me everything he does during the week. And I was like, dude, like, this is ridiculous in terms of his prep.
Like Jedi mind trick
Yeah,
type
like
of stuff.
it's unreal. Like, and he's the way he describes it, it means A, he's just not telling me what he does. Like, he really understands why he's doing it and what he's getting out of it. And two, like, he's making the game easier for himself. And he's telling me why he's making the game easier for himself. And he's already uber talented enough to just even make up for mistakes like that because of his physical ability. But, like, the mental approach that he has is unreal.
And he just turned 23 3 months ago.
It's nuts. It's nuts. I remember doing his pro day. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was like the most perfect formed. But every scout was just like, it's perfect.
Well, I literally remember
right.
breaking him down with Andre, who's our draft guy here. And he was just like, man, my biggest knock on him is that, like, he's kind of a boring watch.
Yeah.
Like, and the funny thing is, he gets to the league, and it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can just put on the tape of him, and it's just like, yep, he's in perfect position. The quarterback never even looks there.
Mm-hmm.
And on to the next play.
Yeah. Because if you remember, his pro day and J.C. Horn's pro days were back-to-back days. And I went to them both. And so it was the exact same group that was in Tuscaloosa, that went to South Carolina the next day, the whole same group of scouts. So it was great for the scouts to sit there and go, these are the top 2 corners in the draft.
Yeah.
We get to see them within 24 hours of each other, and we get a chance to see, like, who does what. JC's definitely much more flashy. Definitely much more of, like, a wow off the screen factor. But when you talk to, like, the scouts that were at both, they're like, yeah, but it's also, like, just, like, there's no flash because Pat never takes a wrong step. Mm-hmm. There's no, like, wow, look at that ability to make that. Like, he's already there.
It's like Jim Edmonds back in the day, always making, like, diving catches.
Because he took 2 steps forward first?
Exactly. He was, like, out of position, but he always found a way to make the play.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, Pat Surtain's just camping under the fly ball and making the play.
It was nuts. I remember Saban told me, he's one of the smartest players I've ever had. Like, I just asked him in the beginning of the week, what would you do for this team on Saturday? And he'd come to my office and tell me, like, I think we should do. And he's like, not like I'm listening to Pat. He's like, Nick, the little guy, big ego. Like, he's not he's going to be like, yeah, Pat, I'm going to do that because you told me. But he was like, 9 times out of 10, I was already doing it. But Pat was right.
Wow.
Like, about what he wanted to prepare.
At, like, 19.
Yeah. Just nuts.
Crazy.
That is truly nuts. And, yeah, I mean,
but seeing
Champ Bailey was
to our point, we want to see him go one-on-one against the best receivers in the league. And if that guy, if nothing happens on that side of the field, everybody might say, like, that's really boring. But, like, what a day.
I know.
Yep.
And then you
Like,
get to put out the graphic that he held Jamar Chase to 1 catch for 3 yards on 5 targets.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's that excites me.
And we get Devontae Adams week 1.
Yeah.
That's what we get to see.
Get
gonna
Tay
be
Adams
incredible.
twice.
Yes.
I mean,
That's going to be great.
I wanna see who-
Devontae Adams is going to have to say after week 1, he is there now.
Terry McLaurin again.
Tyreek,
They had
Waddle, his former teammate,
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay, it did happen.
Garrett Wilson,
Yeah, that's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun.
Stephon Diggs.
Champ Bailey wasn't a first-team All-Pro until his 6th year.
That's pretty crazy. But, I mean, that's kind of the thing with cornerbacks, though. It just takes time to get recognition. Because, again, like Micah Parsons, you just go have 14 sacks. There it is, 14 sacks.
Right.
Micah Parsons, he's
Too
incredible.
easy.
It is interesting because Sauce has it too, though. Sauce and Pat have the recognition quicker than I've ever seen like a corner get it. Because the other thing is corners are very prideful.
Oh, yeah.
And they got a lot of ego. They do not want to be like the kid is the best. And that shows you how talented these guys are when veterans are like, no, he's better.
Yeah, I saw actually Nick made a clip of when we were interviewing
What's up, Nick?
Pat at the Super Bowl, and you brought up the Champ Bailey, Darrell Revis, Broncos, Jets. Now you've got Pat and Sauce, Broncos, Jets is kind of a cool, like, just a new era.
Yeah.
New era of corners. All right,
Okay.
number 4. But after we tell you about Backus and Shanker, Pat Surtain, Sauce Gardner, Champ Bailey, Darrell Revis, Backus, Shanker.
Wow.
Just great, combinations of 2 people. And Backus and Shanker wins for Colorado families. They've won over $1 billion for Colorado families in personal injury lawsuits. So if you get hurt and it's not your fault, there is absolutely no other option but to call Backus and Shanker. And the best part is you won't pay a single penny to them until they win your case. That's how confident they are. They're as confident as a number 1 corner. They're just like, yeah, pay me after I win. It's a beautiful thing. So hit up our friends Backus and Shanker if you need them.
Okay.
Also head over to Shady Rays. I've got mine. I'm actually headed up to Montana in like 4 hours.
Oh,
pretty excited about that. It's gonna be a big sunglasses weekend. Yes.
You're gonna come back with one of those funny tans on your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a couple months since I had one of those.
Yeah,
though.
I know.
I'm doing pretty well. It's been a good summer for me. Yeah, Shady Rays are incredible. They're high quality sunglasses, but they don't charge as much as the other big brands out there. Despite having 250,000 5-star reviews, they've got all the different kinds of sunglasses you could be looking for. They got like the aviators. They've got like the round ones. They've got whatever you call these ones. All the different sunglasses. They even have. Don't they have like goggles, like ski goggles
ski
too?
goggles.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff. And if you're interested, head over to shadyrays.com. You can use the code DNVR for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. They also have stores in Highlands
Those are
Ranch.
sturdy.
I know they're very sturdy. I do need to screw this in just a little bit more. But
I use like the top of a sharp knife.
I try to stay away from those.
Yeah, that's good. Good plan for you.
Yeah. That's fair enough. And they actually, never mind. They didn't, that was a previous sale. But right now they still have our current sale, which is 50% off 2 or more pairs. So go to shadyrays.com, go pick out some sunglasses, and you'll love them.
All right. Let's move on to number 4. Fourth top reason to be excited about the Denver Broncos this season. What do you guys got?
I mean, I'd probably have to say revamped offensive line.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Man, if the offensive line is good, Broncos fans will be in heaven. Like,
It's been forever.
I know. I mean, legitimately forever. And you could even make the case that the last time it looked good was just because of Peyton Manning. It's like, I don't know when the last time the Broncos had a talent-rich offensive line that actually turned out to be good.
Yeah, like the group, like I said earlier, the expectations for them. Now, I think we should remember, the organization has high expectations for this offensive line. They have not put a pad on yet. I think that's when we really start getting a better idea of if an offensive line is any good. I don't think right now, in shorts and T-shirts, you go, man, they're really mauling people up front, aren't they?
Yeah.
You do get to look, though, and they are massive.
They're huge.
Like, when you just see those guys stand next to each other, it's insane. Ben Powers and Mike McGlinchey.
Makes me a little concerned.
Oh.
It's not the biggest quarterback in the world.
That's fair. That is true.
Like,
Got to get him out of the pocket.
I mean, better roll them out. I mean, you're right, because it's a big group. It is a big group. And that is always a struggle with quarterbacks that are on the shorter side, in all honesty. But in terms of talent-wise, like I know they paid big dollar for Mike McGlinchey. He's not the greatest pass blocker in the world. For sure. I think people know that.
Yep.
I think Garrett, like, we've seen one great year of it. The talent was always there. It was always like, is it all going to come together? And we saw it come together under a great offensive line coach. We'll see what I think Zach Struth's really good.
Yeah.
But it took the best offensive line coach, maybe Munch and Dante Scarnicchia in New England are probably 2 best ever, to get him to get to that level. I think our expectations are there. I think if they stay healthy, they're going to be light years better than last year anyways. Just even if these guys play okay.
I agree. For me, I just like wake up every morning and pray they stay healthy.
Is that what you do every morning?
Yeah. It's first I thank God for Coach Prime, and then I pray they stay healthy.
And then you think of the Nuggets, or
And then I tell Allie good morning.
yeah. Okay. But I mean, they're in a better spot too. Like, I mean, to me, what stands out also is Cam Fleming.
Yes.
Like, as a backup, that's a pretty good swing tackle.
I didn't think they would be able to bring him back for the money that they gave him. I thought he'd be competing, like maybe with like a rookie, like second round rookie, first round rookie competing for a spot. But no, they got him as a backup. It's insane.
Yeah, that's actually that's like a sneaky, really important player for the Broncos. But yeah, I think the optimism on this offensive line is probably a reason to be
Optimistic?
Optimistic.
The optimism towards the offensive line is a reason to be optimistic. I like it. All right, number 5. This is interesting.
You go 5.
We were kind of, I made a joke before, like it might just be 3. But I think we got 4 for sure.
Yep.
5. I honestly think, and I don't want to put this on the graphic because it just won't hit, but like they got to be healthier, right? Like that's
you're just saying like the ball will bounce back your way, essentially.
Yeah.
Like you're like, there's no way it happens again.
Can't be unlucky forever.
Karma, like odds are in your favor.
Like in my head, I'm just like, there's no way they can have that many devastating injuries again. I'll knock on wood, but that's not going to go on the graphic.
But that's every like Chargers fan every offseason.
Oh yeah,
there's no way we go through this again, and it happens with the Chargers again.
And I sit here every day and say, oh, it's definitely happening with the
What
Chargers
about
again.
ownership? Does that get you excited at all for the
That
season?
was gonna be my outside of the box.
Wow, it doesn't get me excited at all.
I don't know if that's what gets me excited about week 1 of the season. I think
No.
in like big picture Bronco terms,
It gets me
definitely.
excited long term.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I'll tell you,
let's tap in.
ownership had a much larger part in Sean Payton coming to the Broncos than probably people would guess.
And I think when we look back to the coaching search, like that's what we were saying, right? They're like, we're like, they're here. They spent all that money. They want a guy, and they got him.
But they sold themselves to Sean and other candidates. They have in a very short period of time already proven that they will do anything to win in terms of their effort and their dollars. And I think one example of each is the field for the final game of the season.
Yep.
To put in $500,000 new turf just because the players were like, I think our field's not great. And they're completely out of the playoffs and like, all right, we'll give you a new field for the last game.
Just for one game.
Just for one game.
Then it gets torn up.
2,
That was like, in my opinion, like a little bit of a performative flex.
yeah, that was like a watch me invest in this pickleball team flex.
Yes, exactly.
You want to see that I got stupid money? Let me invest in a sport that's just like hitting right now
Yes.
and nobody cares about. Pickleball.
I think I just joined a pickleball league.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Huh.
Watch the lateral movement. man.
Volo, shout out Volo. They're one of our sponsors.
Oh.
So the second part I said was their effort and what their actions have shown. The amount of work that they did this offseason behind the scenes in terms of figuring out why injuries happened at such a rate to the Broncos last year. I mean, they went to New York and talked to Dr. Sills. They went to different facilities and looked at different facilities around the league about, with other teams and what they do and how they operate with their teams. Like the amount of actual, not just money they're putting into keeping players healthy, like they went and researched it to the 10th degree about why is our team doing this. And some of it was done like personally by like Greg Penner. Like, let me go to New York and talk to Dr. Sills and figure out what's going on. To me, that does get me excited long term. It doesn't get me excited for wins and losses in 2023. But to me, covering the entire league and being in all of these buildings and seeing how different they are, ownership plays a part in winning culture.
Yeah.
Like, if you go to New England in the Brady years, and obviously they have the best coach in football and the best player in football during all of that run, but like you're in the press box during a postseason game, it is incredible what the Patriots roll out. And that starts with Robert Kraft. Like, I know this is an odd connection, but like people understand, like, oh, damn, this is like the best clam chowder I've ever had, like at the divisional round. Like, he makes sure everything is done the best it can possibly be done.
Pat Bowlen used to say we want to be number one in everything.
Exactly. And that was kind of what Pat Bowlen and the Broncos always hung their hat on. Is like Pat would go like broke just to make sure the Broncos had everything to get that feeling. There is a vibe in certain buildings, and players have told me this, like you can tell when ownership just has that machismo to them of like, oh, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And it spreads through the building. I'm not saying it gives you wins, but it gives a different vibe.
Yep.
And that could be a long-term thing to be excited about. That was a decent like throw in, honestly.
That was a good pitch.
That was.
a good pitch.
You know?
That was great.
Another
So-
one. What about Jerry Jeudy?
Okay, so hold on. Hank, James nominates the ownership.
That was my big picture.
That was great. That
Yeah.
was great. Do you want to nominate like Jaquan McMillan or one of your end of the roster guys that you love?
Yeah.
I'm not going to ruin the graphic.
Okay.
I know how people respond to those sorts of things.
By the
Ben
way,
DiNucci.
Pat
By the
Surtain,
way-
the punt returner.
Jaquan McMillan was originally my guy. I just want that to
That
be,
is true. Was it just based on the name?
Tony was my guy.
No, it
My
goes all the way
guy.
back to last.
If you can tell me what movie that's from.
Last training camp when we all had to pick an
That's right.
undrafted guy to make the roster, and I picked him, which I was wrong, but he did end up making it later.
He's awesome. He's really good. I think Jerry and Javonte would be the two that I'm torn between. Just picking a guy that because I wake up and say, wow, it'd be exciting to see Jerry Jeudy go play football. Like I think there's a chance he just goes for 1,200 yards this year.
Ooh.
I get excited about that.
Yeah, see
Same thing
that-
with Javonte. I get excited about that.
That's where I'm at. And I'm excited for Jerry Jeudy to be working with a new wide receivers coach. Not that Zach Ghazzani isn't good at his job. I just wonder if he needed a clean slate with a receivers coach.
Possibly. Because Zach was, I mean, he was kept repeatedly, so
Yep.
apparently he was doing something.
No,
right.
he was. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know what you're
But
saying, though.
I almost wonder if a new wide receiver. You know how when a player becomes a free agent, every team in the league thinks like, "Oh, we can get the most out of him."
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be
Arrogance.
how they're looking at Jerry Jeudy now. It's like it's essentially like he went to a new team and they're like, "Look how talented this guy is," and I think Sean Payton could help unlock the Jerry Jeudy that we thought the Broncos were drafting at number 15. So I'm very excited about that. And to me, like I always just talk about fun players to watch. He's way up there when it comes to fun players to watch when
big
he's
time.
in his bag.
Yeah. Nobody ran better routes without receiving the football last year in the NFL than Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
I mean, highlight reel route running without a ball to be seen in the NFL.
It's brutal. Led the league in separation per route run.
But let me ask you this and play devil's advocate. That's what you're going to get from this chair.
I love that.
Then why'd they want to trade him?
It's a good question.
I wonder what they really wanted for him.
A lot.
Exactly. And and that means that they do value him. Like they weren't willing to take. I'm sure somebody offered a second round pick for him, right? Like somebody must have. And if you're not willing to take that, that shows that you like him.
Or a one.
Or one.
So there you go.
Okay.
So they do think he's worth something for sure.
True.
I think that maturity has been a question around him, and I wonder if that's something that, like, at this stage in his career, they're just wondering if he's not going to take that step forward in the maturity category. But man, just get him the ball, like, just get him the ball 10 times a game and see what happens for you.
Yeah. I was thinking, like, I like that you said, like, a maturity thing, because to me that kind of, like, triggered a league-wide issue, which is nobody allows anybody to develop anymore. Like, what's wrong with it taking him a few years to become a dominant NFL receiver?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, guys like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, like, ruined it for everybody. Like,
Right.
you can't. It's hard to be great out of the
Justin
gate.
Jefferson.
Or Justin Jefferson. Yeah, it's hard to be great right out of the gate. Not everybody's the same. Like, there could be a litany of reasons why in, like, year 3 Jerry puts it together. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he really finally figures everything out the way he is.
And he was
molded.
incredibly young when he was drafted.
Very young.
Yes.
Very young. I'm nervous because this is just a personal thing. Every time he catches the ball, I'm like, yeah, this is an injury. An injury's happening right now. It just looks like it's going to happen.
Exactly.
Yes.
Those skinny legs. They're so long.
But it's, who was I having this conversation with? Steve Smith. I was having this conversation with Steve Smith. This is just a name drop podcast.
The opposite of a guy who you think is going to get hurt every time he gets the ball.
He's going to hurt someone
Yes.
every time he gets the ball. And we were talking about, and they're both out of Bama, like Jerry Jeudy and Devontae Smith. I don't know if anybody is thinner than Devontae Smith in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I saw my fair share of Eagles games this past year. It doesn't look like he's going to get hurt on every play. And I asked Steve, I was like, why? Why do I think Jerry Judy's going to get hurt? And I don't think Devontae's going to get hurt. And Steve kind of said essentially, like, well, Devontae plays more like he's put together than he actually is.
Yeah.
And I was like, it makes sense.
Kind of a toughness
He
to
carries
his
himself
game.
like a little bit differently than Jerry plays. They're both really thin, and that's why I was thinking it. But I don't know if anybody else thinks that with Jerry. Like,
Yeah.
but then I also am like, wow, that was like, I don't know how somebody's leg does that because he went this way and the DB went that way, and then he was going this way. So maybe it plays to his favor as well.
I was going to say, it's also like he moves so unorthodox.
Yeah.
That it just looks odd.
His feet are like really out
Yeah.
when he
Yeah.
walks like this. But I don't know. DeAndre Hopkins' feet are like this. I mean, he's really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really good. He
Just
might be
don't
in
want him straight, I guess.
Yeah, he might be in the division soon.
All right. So I guess
Yeah.
we got to settle this. Ownership or Jerry Jeudy? I just
Javonte is back too.
Javonte is like I'm just too concerned about him.
Okay.
But we might look back week 4 and he's averaging like 80 yards a game and we're like, wow, I can't believe we didn't put him on the graphic.
Yep. Or we'll forget we did.
I
this.
mean, if you're debating between
definitely forget
those
we did
two,
this.
between Javonte or Jerry, what's this offense based off of?
Running the ball.
yeah. How many running backs do you have? How many receivers do you have?
The room's deep, man.
It is.
Jerry could
Javonte's-
have an okay year, and you still got I think Cortland's moving better than I've seen him move. In all honesty,
I also
Tim-
just considered the wide receiver room as an option.
yeah,
It's
There's
exciting.
so many.
But I think Javonte's return looks dope on the graphic.
yeah.
Okay. That's a good reason. Talked about
I
two
like-
other things. We'll throw Javonte's return
Well,
on
we
there.
talked about Javonte a lot on this.
Yeah, we did.
Anyways, I just think I don't know. That's a reason to be excited. That's like a reason, I guess, to be excited, even though we're like not sure if it's happening. That's just why it's at 5.
Yep.
That's what I mean. That's why I was hesitant. But at the
I
same-
like that you're doing this because you're as optimistic as apparently the Broncos are about Javonte's return.
I
Because
think-
you're being reason to be excited. He's already ready to go week 1 of training camp. He's already ready to go week 1 apparently, according to our list.
not to me, but to everyone else. Like eventually I have to start listening when they just keep telling me over and over and over again that he's going to play.
Well, it's crazy. You show up for that first practice of the spring, and
There he
they
is.
start, and he's out there cutting without a brace on his knee. It's
Yeah.
like, what is happening here? And he goes and puts the brace on, goes off to the side field, but you see it, and how can you not get excited?
There's like a part of me that's like, oh, when they went in to do the surgery, they were like, oh, not as bad as we thought.
Yeah.
Like I that's the only thing I can think of as to how he's already ready.
Yeah, or somebody it was like a Patrick Mahomes thing. It was like, oh, he heals better than everybody. He's
Right.
double jointed. His ligaments flex differently.
There's
than
like a
everybody
Harry
else.
Potter healing
Yeah.
spell put on him or something.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what Greg Penner found.
yeah.
Could have been.
Could have been.
That's
He was
actually he's
searching.
got the money for
He's
it.
searching. He was everywhere. Could he use Dr. Jones with him?
Some sort of serum. Okay. I think those are 5 legitimate reasons to be excited.
Yep.
Now, if Javonte's a toss up in terms of just that being a reason to be excited. But because I'm thinking of this in this season's terms, so I think you made a great case for the ownership.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, that's
Greg
long. That's
Penner-
a
yeah.
big picture thing.
It just doesn't get me excited about like how the product on the field this season.
Actually, you're right. You know what? Everything I sold the ownership on. Do you know what that makes me feel? It makes me feel comfortable about the Broncos moving forward.
Yes.
In years of like turmoil with an ownership group that was like, we had the Joe Ellis running things, who actually with everything that was going on did a great job. But anyway, we had no idea what was happening. Maybe at least that just gives you comfort,
Yeah.
not excitement.
Joe Ellis, just seems so tired. He was just like,
The man's exhausted.
I don't want
He
to
just
do
wants
this
to retire to Maine.
yes.
The house is built. He just wants to get there.
And I think this group is like so energized. They're like, we're going to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. An honorable. Can I throw an honorable mention out
Yep.
there? Just like competent game management.
Yeah, that is exciting.
Like Sean is just a veteran of the sideline. Like we were talking about the onside kick and just like knowing every nuance that goes on within a game, and a really experienced staff. I mean, remember last year we had a lot of guys doing what they were doing for the very first time.
Yep.
And so now it's like a pretty experienced group. So I think the flow of a game, honestly, and a couple of strategic decisions made by Sean Payton and his group. How many one-score games were there last year?
7? Yeah.
Wow. In unison.
Yeah, 7.
Honestly, with this coaching staff and experience, that like just from their decision-making, that could have been 4.
Yeah.
It's very true. Very true.
You know what I mean? 3 wins.
Well, and there's always like some team that makes the playoffs that there's like a graphic about how they lost all these games by 1 score last year and now they won them all this year.
Oh my God, I had that sent to me the other day. It's an insane amount. Let me see if I can find it. You guys can talk while I find it.
All right.
Maybe next week we need to rank the top 5 reasons we're excited about Sean Payton.
That's actually a real thing.
Game management, play calling.
Top 5 reasons you're excited about FOCO. Go.
I needed a new pair of Broncos shoes.
Okay, there's one.
Yep. Also, they have Broncos Christmas ornaments.
2.
So, gotta stock up ahead of time.
Yep.
The Broncos sun hats are good. Oh, Broncos Hawaiian shirts. I guess I'm
that's
going
3.
to Canada, so that's kind of different.
Hawaiian shirt in Canada could be a funny bit.
It could be. It could be.
You guys do bits?
Oh, it's cool. So many
Big bits, guys.
Wow.
Oh, you didn't say Bitsman.
Bitsman, yeah.
It's
Well, that's a
literally-
bit in itself.
That is a bit in itself.
It's a bit show with Broncos talk in it for
True.
the most part.
Wow.
Oh, they have those Nuggets championship bobbleheads.
4.
Where everybody's holding the trophy. Terrell Davis bobblehead.
Terrell Davis bobblehead.
We
5.
don't
Great
have
top
that one
5.
here.
Great top 5. Shout out to our friends over at FOCO for all of the memorabilia you need. And anything you can think of, if you want a Broncos logo on it, they have it.
Anything.
So use the code DNVR for 10% off from our friends over at FOCO. Did you find your graphic?
I didn't find a graphic. I found the stats.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to read them, okay?
Okay.
This is compliments of the NFL Network's research department.
Shout out
Top
them.
of the line.
They
My
really
guys.
are. They're incredible. I have no idea what I'm talking about on television. I just say what they say. All right. Since 1970, that's the year of the merger, at least one team has improved its win total from the previous season by at least 4 wins every year except the strike-shortened season of 1982.
Okay.
5 teams increased their win total from 2021 to 2022 by at least 4.
Wow.
Since 2018, 16 teams improved their win total by at least 5 from the previous season.
Whoa.
That's a lot.
That is.
This is why you should listen as a Broncos fan. 8 of the 16 had a new head coach, including 3 of the 5 in 2022. And 8 of the 16 had either a new starting quarterback or a new starting quarterback coming off of injury. That's not the Broncos.
No.
But the Broncos are part of that group that change of head coach, massive change in wins. To me, the comp, honestly, because it couldn't have gone worse in these 2 places the year before, is Jacksonville. Like, things could not have gone worse with Urban Meyer and company.
That's true.
And Dougie P strolls on in after sitting out a year. The parallels.
With a Super Bowl ring.
With a Super Bowl ring. Previous Super Bowl winning
Offensive
coach.
guy.
Offensive guy. Takes his quarterback. Everybody was like second-guessing Trevor Lawrence under Urban Meyer. What is this guy doing? I thought this was the greatest prospect we've seen since Andrew Luck. Now, there's people like hedging their bets saying like Trevor Lawrence will be in the MVP race. Second year of Dougie P's system.
That's a good bet. We should throw that down on Bet365.
I'll talk betting.
That's fine.
Okay.
Not a bad bet at all.
James, leave the set really quick. No, I'm just kidding.
Earmuffs.
That is a good comp. And that is exciting for the Broncos. And I wonder, you can send this to the research department.
Let's do it.
How many of those teams had more than 5 single one-score game losses the year before?
That's a great point.
You know, like that. I have a feeling
point.
it would be a lot.
But look at these teams last year. I mean, from 21 to 22, Jags 3-14 to 9-8, Lions 3-13-1 to 9-8, Giants 4-13 to 9-7-1, Eagles 9-8 to 14-3, Vikings 9-8 to 13-4. Those are all the biggest improvements. +6, +6, +5, +5, +5.
Huge. Okay. Do we have any super chats? Yeah. No super chats.
Wow.
Which means we're done here.
Okay.
Our work is done. And look at that. 102 thumbs up.
Oh, we
he's
just
coming
made it.
back.
I'm coming back.
He's coming back.
I'm
baby.
coming back. We just made it. Whew.
Super excited to have you on the show throughout the season for all of your great insights and future bits.
Yeah. I'm a big bit guy.
Oh, good.
Can't wait. Can't
Let's
wait.
do it.
All right. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.